Welcome to the Good Mood Show. I'm your host, Matt O'Neill. Be sure to hit subscribe so you get a good mood every single week. Today, we have our first repeat guest ever. I'm introducing one of my best friends on the planet, Adam Roach, CEO of I Love Coaching, founder of the I Love Coaching Summit, and overall whole life millionaire. If you haven't listened to Adam's podcast with me from last year, Whole Life Millionaire, definitely check that out. It will change your life. Adam, welcome to the Good Mood Show.
Matt, I am so excited to be here and first time repeat. This is fun.
First time. But that just talks about how badass you are.
I don't know about that. I'm just going to say that maybe you couldn't find anybody else to fill this spot. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
No, what happened is I just went to the I Love Coaching Summit and it totally lit my world on fire. And I was I left Thursday, Friday, just like high on life. This is the Good Mood Show. And there's nothing like being on fire, just totally inspired, totally enthusiastic. It makes you feel the very best you can possibly feel. So I was going to record an episode solo today about the things that I learned from your summit. And I've just like, this community has to know what I just found out so that they can be on fire too, and they can be feeling their best. And then I said, you know what, who's better to talk about this with than Adam Roach, the guy that put the whole freaking thing on. Man, congratulations, first of all. Amazing. Hey, Adam has got a free gift for you. If you're part of our newsletter, you're going to get it automatically. If you're not yet, you can go to goodmoodshow.com and sign up for the newsletter. It's an instant download. It is the 5 things you don't need to be a whole life millionaire. Yes. It's an awesome document. Highly recommend you get that. If you want, if this is past airtime and you want that document, just send a note on the contact page. We'll get it to you. But Adam, I showed up to your conference. I'm there as a participant, and the very first guest was Dr. Ryan Smith.
Yes.
And his speech was, stress is really good for you. This is a year I've been stressed out. This has been probably the highest stress of my entire career. And for lots of reasons. You know, I had a personal loss. My stepdad passed away earlier this year, which, that's a really stressful event for us to go through, a really heartbreaking event. Interest rates went up a lot. We lost a ton of money early in the year. Had a flip company that totally imploded and failed, had a ton of debt. Like, my personal stress has been enormous. I know that you're connected to the real estate space.
Yes.
Have you been feeling stressed this year too?
I mean, that's an understatement, right? This is a market that we've never really played in with interest rates this high. Well, let me rephrase that. Interest rates increasing as they have at the rate that they have. And yes, we have coaches, we have clients, we have people that have not known what to do. So to say it's been stressful, I'd say it's an understatement. I have clients that have gone from $100 million production down to $20 million in production in 1 year.
Well, how about you? You yourself, have you had stress this year as well?
Yeah. I mean, the loss of my father-in-law unexpectedly. So there's that. We have business, with the income going up and going down. It's been tough across the board for sure.
So that's why I really appreciated that you started your conference, and we're going to start this episode with why stress is actually beneficial. One of my favorite T-shirts that I see, and it's all of our friends at GoBundance. I'll see it on them. They wear a shirt that says "Do hard things on purpose."
Right.
And that's basically what Dr. Ryan said. So why does Dr. Ryan feel that stress is actually helpful in our life?
Well, before we answer that, let's go back to Dr. Ryan. So Dr. Ryan, I've worked with him for the last 2 years at Better Life Carolinas here in Mount Pleasant. And last year I had one of his peers at their practice do the summit as well, Dr. David Geyer. And as I'd been working with Dr. Ryan this year, I thought, gosh, he is so knowledgeable in the health space and more from a proactive standpoint that I want him to come to the summit. I want him to speak at the summit. I want him to take his scientific approach to health and share it with everyone at the summit. And Matt, you know what he said to me? I don't do public speaking. and I'm going to do it. I don't do public speaking. I thought, goodness gracious, I just asked a guy to lead off my summit who doesn't do public speaking.
So I want to speak to this because in the audience, you're kicking off. There's over 200 people there. It's at the Gaillard Center downtown, huge venue. John Maxwell is speaking. One of my idols. And your opening speaker, you're up there. You're on fire just because you're such a charismatic guy. And then Dr. Ryan comes up, gently sits down in a chair, puts his notes out really, really politely on his lap.
I felt so bad. I didn't have a table for him too. I was like, gosh, I set this guy up.
He's quiet for a minute. And I started laughing. I'm like, oh, this is a good act.
Right.
And then he says, I'm terrified. I'm absolutely terrified. This is way out of my comfort zone. Right. I don't do public speaking. And his voice was shaking and he was dropping papers.
Hands were shaking.
Yeah. Yes. And his talk was my favorite talk of the whole conference, and he was living it. So he put himself in a high stress environment. Yes. He's deathly afraid of public speaking. He did it to serve him. And that's the point of this whole episode, is that when you do things that stretch your comfort zone, and that's what stress is. That's his definition of stress. Stress is something that takes you out of balance.
Correct.
When you're out of balance, you get stronger, you create new neural pathways, your body responds in ways that make you better, more resilient for tomorrow. So he purposely got on stage to do something he was very, very scared to do, to elevate his life and make him stronger and better and more happy. Yeah. And he was living.
That was the most amazing example or presentation to say, he wasn't sure. He was there for me. Sure, he was there for the audience. He was there to serve himself in a stress-based space, because he was intentionally putting himself in a stress-based space to make himself better. And he told us that doing that intentionally, as you just said, makes you bigger, better, faster, stronger, makes you, their biology inside actually changes when you do those types of things.
So it allowed me to totally reframe this really stressful year, which how have I been calling it? I've been saying, oh, this has been a shitty year.
That's correct.
Right. That's what I've been labeling it. And his speech about why stress actually makes us better, stronger, happier, greater versions of ourselves started to make me say, man, I freaking love this year. We lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I had to be so innovative, and I had to rethink everything. I became so much better of a leader. I figured out how to navigate through probably the greatest challenge in my career. We lost somebody that we love dearly, and our whole family has been shaken, and it's completely a new dynamic. It's not something that I want to go through again at any moment in time. But at the same time, we've banded together and we've been there for each other. We've become a really tight family unit. There are things that have happened this year on all different levels that have felt stressful, but I am a greater version of myself in this moment because I've been through those things. So if you're at home and listening to this, if you're in your car and listening to this, and this year's been stressful and you've called it a shitty year like I have, take note. You are a better version of yourself today because of what you've been through this year.
That's right. Matt, I heard Jesse Itzler, maybe it was last year. He did speak at Go Abundance. And he talked about, if you remember, Misogis. I don't know if you remember him talking about Misogis. And what I heard him say, and this could be not correct, though this is what I heard him say, is do something that challenges you. Do something that scares you. And you and I have heard this many different ways, right? Though, do something. I think his was doing his 29029 or something like that, right? Where he wanted to hike Mount Everest, but he knew his wife wouldn't let him go to Everest. And so he went up and down this mountain, and now he's made a whole event out of it. He went up and down the mountain so many times that it was like he scaled Everest. And so I heard that, and I'll tell you and I'll tell the listeners, I've been doing this push-up challenge every single day, and it has really pissed me off. I mean, it's really upset me. It's hurt me. It's physically hurt me. It's emotionally drained me on top of this environment that we've been in.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't change it for the world. I mean, I've had to do
and just to back up the push-up challenge, Adam has sent me videos of himself doing these push-ups. On January 1, you did one push-up.
One push-up.
On January 2, you did 2 push-ups. By the time we get to day 180, you're doing 180 push-ups. Now, what number are we on today?
Today was day 309.
You're doing 309 push-ups today.
Well, here's the thing. So it is. Tomorrow will be 310. So I went to ChatGPT because I couldn't figure out how many I had done. And this is a couple weeks ago. And I said, if you were to do a push-up a day, blah, 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 blah. And it came back and said, you had done 89,612 push-ups. And I was like, wow. Again, pause, because it's not about that. It is about the stress that I put myself under to do that. You and I both know that when we say we're going to do something, we follow through with it, right? Now, I will say, honestly, from at 271, I hurt my shoulder, right? There was a twinge in the shoulder that the body was saying, stop, otherwise I'm going to hurt even more. And I did stop for 7 straight days. And by day 8, I kept going again, though. So I did miss a whole week in there, though. Nevertheless, we kept pushing. Stress. We're talking about stress here on the body.
So Dr. Ryan Smith had a lot of scientific reasons why stress makes us better. There is one factor we have to talk about, and debilitating stress can spiral you into depression.
Correct.
He said there was one particular study he cited that said the higher the level of stress, the higher the level of life satisfaction, so long as one thing is present: hope for a bright future.
That's right.
So as long as we have hope for a bright future, the data says the higher your level of stress, the higher your level of life satisfaction. I'm going to talk real talk.
Yeah.
We had one kid. It was super stressful, but man, changing those diapers, teaching her how to talk, teaching her how to walk, like highest life satisfaction I could get. We had a second child, more stress, 2 kids in diapers, right? More fulfillment, a higher life satisfaction. We now have 4 children. We're still changing diapers. What we got now, we got cheerleading camp in West Ashley. We've got piano lessons. We've got basketball. We've got soccer. We've got all these different schools, all these different activities, homework. Like, stress is crazy now at this point. Life satisfaction is the highest it's ever been, because my hope for what this future looks like with my family is so beautiful that the stress makes it worth it. So if you're, this was me in real estate this year. Lots of stress, low hope. Because the lawsuit, 1.7 billion judgment, and so I started to lose hope for that bright future. Your conference had me say, no, my future is going to be better than ever. And as soon as I reframed and said, I'm going to have the best future that you've ever seen, all of the stress now can be resilience builders for me.
That's good. That's good, Matt. Matt, let me ask you this. When you now have that knowledge, where did you go to reframe, right? How did you take the knowledge that you gained from that conference from Dr. Smith and then bring it back to reframe this year, right? Let's just stay in the real estate space. What'd you do? How'd you reframe that? There it is. There it is.
I had this notebook. Right as soon as he said it, I wrote it down, and I said, reframe stress to see it as making me more resilient, stronger, smarter, and a better version of myself. And then there was another piece of your conference when Dana, your lovely wife, Dana, got up on stage, and she was talking about a book that changed her life this year by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. 10X is greater than 2X.
Easier than 2X.
Yeah, 10X is easier than 2X. And Be Your Future Self Now. So those 2 books you mentioned, I purchased both of those books at the conference because I knew that they were going to be powerful. I started diving into Ben Hardy's stuff this weekend, and that started to have me paint a 10X future of how my life is going to be 10 times better in the next couple of years than it is right now. And as soon as I started creating this compelling future, that my future self is going to be better than my current self, everything, now I'm on fire. Now I'm on fire.
Love it.
So if you're listening and you're just feeling stressed and you're like, man, no, but you don't know my stress, right? You don't know what my stress is like. Yeah, sure. It's easy for you. Good Mood Show and Adam Roach, CEO of I Love Coaching, the biggest coaching company in the world. Easy for you guys to be on fire, but you don't know my stress. All you have to do to be on fire is create a compelling future that is so big that it pulls you forward and makes you excited about what your today looks like.
I love that, man. I'll take, let's plus this up a little bit. Let's go to our buddy Matt King. Right. I love what Matt brought to the table. So for those listening, Matt is the CEO of GoBundance, a group that Matt and I have belonged to for many years now. And in addition to what Matt just said, I would say, gosh, also audit your who's, right? Surround yourself with individuals that you can share your shit with that will also say exactly what Matt just said to lift you up out of that shit, right? Or to listen to you, to have a shoulder, to have an ear, and then help you.
So Matt King was one of the most impactful speakers for me too. And I want to ask you a few questions about Matt, because you are one of the who's that changed my life. Adam, but these who's, these people that are in your life are there already. Adam was in my life already.
Just ignoring me. You were just ignoring me.
He wasn't a who in my life, and I wasn't a who in his life.
No, you are now.
The two of us were in the gym at the same time for probably like 6 months.
Yeah.
We'd see, and we were friendly, but in the same industry. We'd say hi. I'd give him a fist pump. You'd be lifting heavier weights than me, and I'd be like, "Oh, nice." And so there is a who in your life right now that could totally change your life if you start to just open your eyes to who's there. So you and I started working out together. Because we were just at the gym at the same time. We're like, hey man, we should probably do this. Probably God put us in that gym at the same time.
I agree.
And then you said, hey, I joined this really cool group, GoBundance. And you got really excited about it. And you said, you should join this group too. 2 years later, I got the message and joined the group. And then that changed my life to another degree. So why does being around great people make your life so much better?
So I'll do this first. It is, you should be auditing the people around you at all times. Now, let's back up even before that. You need to have a vision, right? What is your overall vision? Whether it's a vision of happiness, a vision of growth, a vision of family, what is the overall vision? And as you look at the people who are your community around you, are they lifting you up or are they pushing you down? Are they lifting you up or are they holding you down? And are they a community that you can actually go to, be real and authentic with? I know I could pick up the phone. I had a mentor of mine say this to me many years ago. It said, Adam, you know your who's are the right who's that if you get accidentally put in jail at 3 a.m., you can call them and they can come get you. So Matt, if I ever got put in jail, I know I could call you at 3 a.m. I don't know where your phone is though when you go to bed. You may not hear it.
I'll be there.
Okay, good. Though, and that's being silly, but at the same time, yeah.
Because her phone's right next to the nightstand.
Mine's in my closet, so don't ever call
me. She'd be like, Matt, it's for you.
Adam's in jail, go get him. No, in all seriousness, it is are your who's lifting you up? Are you looking up at who's, right? That I want to physically look. I look up to you, Matt O'Neill. I look up to what you do and how your real estate community is so powerful and so spiritual based. I look up to our GoBundance group and more from a love standpoint, right, than a comparison standpoint. So
remember when Matt said, I want you to think about the 5 people that are closest to you. And his strategy was to actually have us write down 5 names. He said, draw a circle. So if you can, or mentally draw a circle, put your name in the middle, and then draw 5 spokes off your circle.
Right.
Now, off of each spoke, write the names of the 5 people you were in the closest contact with right now.
Right.
And then once you do that, he said, guess what their income is. Just make a guess. Write down what you think their income is. Write down on a scale of 1 to 10 what you think their level of fitness is, what their level of health is. 10 being the most healthy person you've ever seen. 1 can't get off the couch. Write down 1 to 10 the quality of their relationships, how good they are at their relationships, and then average out those scores.
Now, wait a minute, you've got body fat. Didn't you forget body fat?
Yeah, body percentage, like average out the scores of the 5 people, and he said you will be the average of those 5 people every single time. It's a law. It's a law. You cannot escape it. Yeah. So, yeah, how do we? I heard this a long time ago, and I was like, man, you know, the results I see on these percentages, this isn't who I want to be.
Right. Yes.
And I'm like, how do I upgrade the people I hang around without being a total jerk because I like these guys? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What did you do about that?
Well, I'll tell you, when I moved to Charleston from Los Angeles, and I became a part of this real estate community, I realized that the people that I had come here to move to be in business with had a ceiling. Right now, this may sound a little arrogant, but I instantly could see the ceiling, and I knew that my vision was much greater than that ceiling. And that was 2013, Matt, and that's when I found GoBundance in 2013, 14-ish. As I went out and I found some who's. I'll tell you real quick the story of how I even met David Osborne, one of the elders inside of GoBundance. Was he was speaking at an event, and I was always taught to sit at the front row of the event. And when someone is speaking at you, you can feel what they're saying is going right through your soul. My dad always said, you better go meet the who's, right? You better go up and introduce yourself, because you never know what's going to come after that. And so sure enough, I went and introduced myself to David, and I said, listen, I would walk through fire to hear what you just said again. I'm going to follow you on Facebook back in the day, and I'm going to stalk you. And so we actually had and built our relationship with me DMing him. And then he instantly said about 2-3 months later, hey, I built this group called GoBundance. You should come. We're going out to Colorado, and we're going to hear Robert Kiyosaki speak. You want to come with us? I was like, heck yeah, count me in. And that was it.
Yeah. But you just mentioned a few things that always have changed my life. You went to a conference. Mm-hmm. You went somewhere to improve yourself. You went to a conference and you saw a speaker, mm-hmm. and you sat in the front row. You were leaned in. You were probably mm-hmm. taking notes. Like, I know how you sit. You're a front row Joe, right? I'm the exact same way. Like,
I know you are.
I'm there for my life to be changed. And then when something really resonated with you, you did a really scary thing. Mm. This extremely talented person, David Osborne, very intimidating, like an idol for you at the moment. Mm-hmm. It's probably still now. You had to go say hi to him, and he could possibly reject you and say he doesn't think you're that special. Right. But you took action in spite of your fear, and you went and said hi to him, and then you stayed in touch. You took another action. You sent him a message, and that's how doors get opened. So I recommend, Matt King said the same thing. You are going to be who your future self will be is based on the books you're reading, the conferences you're going to, and the people you're hanging around. Yeah. If you want to be a greater version of yourself, read better books, hang around better people, and go to better conferences.
And Matt, let's bring this back. Think about, gosh, I remember I remember many of the events that you have gone to and I have gone to. Those are stressful. Those are stressful stretches. Number one, financially. Number two, heck, I just went to Canada this year. First of all, Kelowna, Canada, and British Columbia. Didn't know a soul. Heck, I didn't even know where it was. And I went there. I think I paid $10,000 for a one-day event.
So stressful to come up with 10 grand. Like
stressful to come up with 10 grand.
Even in, I don't care who you are, but in this environment, to come up with $10,000 that you could spend on anything else is stressful. Sure. Yeah. And then you fly without knowing anyone.
I didn't know where Kelowna, British Columbia was.
What about leaving your family, right? You got children, you got your wife, people are counting on you to be there. You got a career, you got people counting on you to show up to work. Yeah, all of that stuff creates stress.
Yep. And now you step into a space of unknown, right? You step into a space, and now I've done this, and I'm recommending that you don't do this. So hopefully this will land with you. And I've learned now how not to do this, is step into an unknown space with ego. That does not serve you. You step into a space of unknown with a servant's heart, with a curiosity mindset to engage. And Matt, I'll say one thing too, related to events, related to who's. You better be prepared. You better have questions prepared. You better have a definition of success before you even get to something like that prepared. so that you know how to step into that moment and be ready, not wing it, right?
So on the plane, every time I'm going to an event, I write my ideal objective from this event is, if I could get 3 things from this event, I would want to get this and this and this. I always have a vision of what I'm trying to get from an event. And I'll talk to guys about this that I'm going to events with, and they'll say, yeah, I just want to be open. I want to be open to anything that happens. I say, well, here's the cool thing about being prepared and knowing what I want is I'm also open to anything that happens, and things that I didn't prepare for show up and they blow my mind, but also the things that I was looking for, I always find
them. Yeah, 100%. There was something I was going to say there. I think let's go to someone that's brand new, right, Matt? Let's go talk to someone that is listening to this right now that can't afford to go to a conference, right? Maybe they can't afford to come to the I Love Coaching Summit next year, or
we're going to offer a
special, we're going to help them out here for sure.
We're going to help, and you guys should be. By the way, this is a life-changing conference. I've been to every single one. It's one of my favorite conferences I've ever been to. It just changed my life. That's why Adam and I are here talking about it. You're going to want to come to Charleston next year and meet me and Adam at this conference. We'll spend some time with you if you do. But Adam's got a special at the end of the show. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll give it to him. And if there's someone new that's listening, right, or there's someone that really wants to take action, maybe they can't, I would challenge them, right? I would definitely challenge them. I'll give you a fun little example here. I also believe when you're circling your 5 who's, they don't have to be alive. They don't have to be maybe even people you know, right? I put down, when we were doing that exercise a couple of days ago, I put down John D. Rockefeller, right? That's someone that I read every single book that I can get my hands on about that man. His net worth is unknown, but let's just say it's in the high billions. So that really helped my average out a little bit. Though when it comes to the newer person, and step into that stress, right? Make room for that stress. Don't push that stress away. Keep that stress right there in front of you, and solve it. Find a way on how to get to something, right? To go surround yourself with the right people.
I learned this. One of the first books that changed my life was The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy.
Such a good book.
And I loved everything Darren had to say at the time because he was changing my life. Yep. And Darren kept talking about his mentor. He's like, my mentor is Jim Rohn, and Jim Rohn says this, and Jim Rohn taught me that. And, this one time, Jim's lesson really hit home. And I was like, man, it's really fortunate for Darren Hardy that he gets to be mentored by Jim Rohn. And then a year later, I found out he had never met Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn was his mentor because he listened to every audio program from Jim. He read every book from Jim. So your mentor, your 5 who's, as Adam just said, they don't have to be someone you actually know. You could be on this podcast. Adam Roach could be one of your mentors. Matt O'Neill could be one of your mentors. If you study enough of our stuff, it's like you know us, you can start to mimic us, start to act like us, start to be like us. If we're one of your who's, or Jim Rohn, or Tony Robbins, so like some of the mentors that I've had, Darren Hardy.
Sure. Yep.
But let's talk about some mentors in some different spaces. Your conference is whole life wellness.
Right. Correct.
You brought in one of your mentors, John Maxwell.
Yes.
John Maxwell was there to talk about leadership, but I know he's taught you so much more than just leadership. He's taught you a lot about spirituality and your faith. He's taught you a lot about being a great human being. What were some of your greatest takeaways or lessons that you've ever learned from John Maxwell?
Wow. You know what? The very first one that pops into my head is being real, being authentic. When I first met John back in 2000, here's another example of stress, Matt. It's 2010. It's 2010. One of my coaches, who I could barely afford at the time, had just gone to a John Maxwell certification program, and they were a founding member, and they were doing one more founding members event the next time. And she was like, Adam, you need to go to that. And I said, how much is it? And she says, $5,000. I said, $5,000? I don't even have $5,000 in the bank. And I went and found $5,000. I may or may not have put it on a credit card. I went there and I got introduced to John, and that was the start of something. But John has taught me to always be authentic and always be real, right? We know that also Let me say this to you, Matt. I want to give another example of this. 2016, I met at a John Maxwell event, and he says, and as he ended our event, I hope you have a relationship with God like I do. And he says, if you want to talk to me about God, give me your card, make sure your name and number's on it, and just write God on there. And so I thought this would be my chance to meet John Maxwell personally. I'm going to go up there and I'm going to introduce myself and I'm just going to say God. And he's not going to call me. No way is he going to call me. Matt, I still have the voicemail on my phone because I missed his phone call when he called me. It's still on there. And I got to say this. John just taught me this at this event. He came up to me afterwards and he said, Adam, he said, we have two things that we have to do in life. And that is, number one is our purpose, right? Our purpose, though, from a spiritual standpoint, is to bring God's kingdom into everyone's world. And our assignment is our passion, right? That's what we're doing as your passion. And he said, your passion clearly is coaching. Your passion is clearly bringing people together. He said, but I need to share something with you that's even more profound and more powerful than that. He says, when I close the show every single time and I offer to help people go with a better spiritual walk, I get 1 to 2, maybe 5 cards at an event. And he said, Adam, I got 28 cards at your event.
Wow.
And he said, you got to realize that you are the catalyst for that purpose, right? So you're living that purpose. And Matt, and I got to tell you, I didn't know how to accept that. I didn't know how to sit with that. It actually was heavy, right? It was really, really heavy. And I texted him on Sunday and I said, John, I don't know how to accept this. And because you told me this was a big responsibility, that you are, again, putting people on the path of success through spirituality by meeting him and him having a conversation with them. And his reply was simple. He said, you can't control it. It's why you're here. He said, that's why you're here. This is your assignment. Your assignment is to continue doing what you're doing. And he says, Adam, repeat your I Love Coaching vision, right? And this is on text. And I said, I know what it is. It's to empower coaches to change and serve 100 million people by using our real blueprint. And he says, there it is. That you're doing it. 100 million people. 100 million people will know God because of you. That's what he said in text.
Woo!
And I thought, goodness gracious. And so just be real, be authentic. This wouldn't have been me 15 years ago.
So I want to, what a profound story. And think about the lives that John Maxwell is changing. And that now that you are, because through his leadership, he's created another leader, right? And then now all the leaders, the ripple effect of this is so profound. But none of it would have happened if you hadn't have said yes to the 5,000 when you didn't have it.
That's right.
If you hadn't gotten on a plane when you were nervous about doing it and gone and sat in the front row and saw John Maxwell. And then again, he gives you an invitation. If you want to learn more about God, come up to me and write God on a business card. And you did it.
Right.
Because, and that was a scary thing, right? Your faith wasn't as strong as it is today. Right?
No.
And then he called you and you missed the call. And then you had to call him back. And then you had to talk to this guy that's really intimidating again, because he was really intimidating. And look at all the beauty that has come from you putting yourself in stressful situations and then choosing to rise up and elevate to the highest version of yourself because of it. Yeah, man, you're changing lives. One of the reasons he got 28 business cards is because Adam brought in one of the greatest speakers that I've ever heard, Josh Surratt. Pastor Josh Surratt is the lead pastor of the church Adam and I both go to, Seacoast Church. He's one of the most prolific speakers I've ever heard. Every Sunday I feel like I want to pinch myself that I get to see him.
Right.
Like he's so good. But you brought in Pastor Josh Surratt as one of your speakers to talk about having a giving heart. And not everybody, has the same faith as you and me and John. And Josh respects that. And I respect that. I respect everyone's faith. But because you set the stage, then that also allowed John to have the impact that he had.
Well, no, wait a minute. We can't skip over what happened there in the middle, Mr. Matt O'Neill. Mr. Matt O'Neill brought to me way pre-summit planning, we need to put Make-A-Wish in this event. Make-A-Wish is near and dear to your heart, as you are near and dear to my heart. And we needed to have an impact based on the people that were there. And we had a goal. We had a goal of having 3 wishes raised.
No, we had a goal of raising 2 wishes.
2 wishes, and we were going to split the last one.
Wishes cost $7,500 each. So Adam and I, and Adam is so gracious to help children. He's got a huge heart. I asked if we could talk about Make-A-Wish at his event, knowing that these were the right kind of people that would be open to being charitable and giving. And we said, if we could get, there's going to be over 200 people here. If we could just get them all to donate $50.
Yeah.
You know, we could possibly, if we could just average $50 each. And I know that's a lot. This has been a tough year financially for most people. If we could just get everyone in the crowd to give $50, we could get $15,000. They'll grant 2 wishes. Ab and I will both grant a wish. We'll change the lives of 3 children.
Right.
And yeah, Pastor Josh Surratt got up. He spoke about why you should give instantly, why God gives you an impulse to give, and don't hesitate. As soon as you get that impulse, don't hesitate, because as soon as you hesitate, your brain will come up with all the reasons why you can't give and why you need that money yourself and why you can't be charitable. But as soon as you have that giving impulse, don't hesitate and just give. And then we got up on stage, and Amanda Osborne from Make-A-Wish had a great speech. We introduced Bella, who is now a thriving College of Charleston student who received a heart transplant. And she said her wish, in the midst of all of this uncertainty and darkness in her life, her wish gave her hope for a brighter future. And what we talked about is stress without hope is despair.
That's right.
Stress, when you have hope for a greater future, makes you a more resilient, better, stronger, faster person. And so Bella talked about how the stress of this heart transplant was enormous for her and her family. And yet her wish gave her hope that she was going to have a bright future. And now she has one with a new heart. And everyone started to open their phones and their hearts and their wallets. We ended up raising $45,000, and we changed the lives of 6 children at your event.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually 47 now. It's still going. So, and I think we pretty much did that in what, like 7 minutes, 12 minutes, something like that. I mean, it flew. So,
but when it's like when you ask someone to give to a charity, yes, it'll help the children. Yes, it helped me because I'm so connected to the children. But really, when your heart is pulled to give, if you give instantly, it helps you more than anything. Because as soon as you give, you feel grateful. As soon as you give, you feel abundant. As soon as you give, you feel like the highest version of yourself. And it always comes back. When you're giving from your heart, God blesses you in unimaginable ways. You have no idea, but it always comes back to you. Always, every single time. And that happens. We gave everybody in that audience a chance to be their highest version of themselves, and they all rose up and changed lives.
Yeah, they did. It was amazing. And we're still getting amazing testimonials, amazing reviews. It was, and I wasn't going to do it again. I was not pre-summit. This was my last one. This is year 4, and it was stressful. It was hard. Financial is very expensive. And as you know, I mean, I walked and prayed that morning, and I asked God for a sign, because my heart was saying yes and my head was saying no. And you know me, I walked to the shrimp boats every single morning. And at that moment in time, my feet were on the gravel. I was walking out to the water, the shrimp boats, and I've probably walked that path at least 150 times this year. Very similar in time, 5:15 in the morning. It's always pitch black. It's always dark. I'll every once in a while do a video or something. And I hit the gravel and started walking. And I said, God, if there's something you can show me, I'll do this summit again. And Matt, I've never seen this floodlight come on, but at that moment in time, a floodlight came on. And I sat there for a minute thinking, maybe they installed a new motion detector, but the light stayed on. It stayed on the entire time I was standing there. So I took that as we're going to do this again.
Well, but that's how it works. I mean, I'm not surprised by that at all. There's no such thing as a coincidence. Like as soon as our eyes open up to God's world, we start to see that God's talking to us at every moment, through every person, through every single thing that we interact with all the time. It's just, are we paying attention? Or are we thinking that we're all alone and doing this on our own?
That's right.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you've been on that path 150 times.
Easily.
You say, give me a sign, and he shows you the light. Yeah. Well, and so let's talk about why you weren't going to do it again.
Yeah.
I know this event was stressful. I know it was a financial burden. I know that you were working your tail off to make it work. Did you lose hope in a brighter future about how it could be in the future?
You know what I lost? Yeah, to answer your question, absolutely I did. I lost hope. And I thought I could fill that hope with a different event, right? I thought I could fill with just putting our coaches in the audience versus the clients or the people that wanted to attend the I Love Coaching event. And I can do those other things. I can still do those other things. I can still hold my coach camps. I can still pour into my coaches while we pour into everyone who attends this event. And here's the neat part, Matt, real quick. I was sitting there talking with John, and I had a group of people around me, and someone said, Adam, how are you going to top this event? This was incredible. And they said, you can't top John. And someone chimed in and they said, why would you ever try to top John? And it hit me in a light bulb moment. It was like, that's right, John, we can't ever top you. So that means you have to come back next year. And he's agreed to come back next year.
Yeah. So that's a great segue into the offer that we have for the listeners here today. Adam, I know you're going to put this event on again. It's going to be next fall. What time frame?
Actually, we already have the dates. So it'll be October. I'll tell you right now, it'll be October 24th and 25th, 2024.
So mark your calendar, October 24 and 25. What is the offer that you're making right now that won't be around forever?
Yep. So we're going to give them half off of the ticket price. So the ticket price will be, I think it's $12.97. So Matt, for your listeners, we're going to give them half off of that until you tell me to stop.
Awesome. So where would they go to get that half off ticket?
Yep. So they're going to go to I Love Coaching Summit 2024.com. I Love Coaching Summit 2024.com. We'll come up with a unique code specifically for your listeners so we can track it from your show. And Matt, this will be your code. You can turn it on. You can turn it off whenever you choose to. They'll get half off for this 2024 summit.
Life-changing. It is a whole life. As you just heard, we've been through a range of topics from health, community, relationships, and John Maxwell, who's written 90 books. He is the authority on leadership. He's one of the people that I admire most, that I've learned from the most, is going to be the headline speaker again. And you get to learn from Adam Roach. I'm going to be there in the stands, being your biggest cheerleader as always. And if you've just loved this conversation and you want to get this great document that Adam's created, the 5 things you don't need to be a whole life millionaire, go to goodmoodshow.com and sign up for the newsletter, and we'll get it over to you, or reach out on the contact page. Adam, it's been a joy as always.
Always is, Matt. Always is.
Is there any other way people should be getting in touch with you? Anything else that you want to say about how people can get in touch with you and get in your world?
Yeah, you can just find me on Instagram, Adam R. Roach. There's 2 R's there. You can find us at I Love Coaching Co. That's Instagram as well. If you want to just shoot me an email, you can do that as well. Adam at ilovecoachingco.com. Happy to chat with anybody. Right now, we are looking for even more amazing coaches to live our vision statement out. And that is, again, to change and serve 100 million people by using our real coaching blueprint. And Matt, real quick, real is not arrogant, right? That's an acronym that we created, again, to serve people, and that is relevant, experiential, authentic leader is what a real coach is inside of.
And they're not just real estate coaches.
No, they're whole life coaches. So they are health, wealth, relationships, and everything in between.
Life coaches. It's not industry specific.
That's correct. Yeah, this is not industry specific, though our coaches are specific in certain areas, whether that's real estate, whether that's wealth building, whether that's relationships, whether that's health and nutrition. We have coaches all across the board that serve their clients in many different forms.
Yeah, if you've been thinking about being a life coach, if you've been thinking that's your calling, I highly recommend you reach out to Adam Roach and I Love Coaching. They do it right. Their community is authentic, and it'd be a great community to be coaching within.
Thank you, Matt. Perfect.
Well, Adam, thanks for being here. And guys, thank you for listening. We will see you next week.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys. See you.